Is done. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rachna Elavat. I have a pleasure of representing the team from Ondot, product managers, engineers, support, sales, and business development, that has taken a very simple concept of empowering the cardholders, people like you and I, to enable them to control their cards from a smartphone. So Ondot Systems is a California-based company. We started about 5 years ago, and today we have about 1,000 customers worldwide. As I mentioned, the concept is very simple. Almost everybody has a debit or credit card in their wallet, or a prepaid card. And these days, almost everybody carries a smartphone. We want cardholders to be able to control their own payment cards. When we first started this journey, we brought together the expertise from networking and mobile and payment, and brought together the team in a fashion that it becomes very simple for consumers to be able to control their card, but using our networking heritage, be able to do it fast enough so that issuers can take the solution out in the marketplace. So without further ado, I'll start with the presentation, and then I'll wrap up with some of the customer success stories we have seen in the past. So what I'm showing you in this demo is basically the cards that I'm controlling from my smartphones. Just before I get started, I'd like to point out a couple of things. There are no new cards that need to be issued. You're controlling the cards that you already have in your wallet. There is no friction that is added at the point of sale. User purchase habit doesn't change. They still present their cards to a merchant at the point of sale or online, just the way they do today. So I logged into this application, and this is also offered as integrated application into the mobile banking, online solutions, or mobile wallet. What I'm showing you here is a standalone application, but basically APIs make it possible to invoke this as a feature from the existing mobile application. So what you see here is basically I have two cards that I'm managing on this application. As the button denotes, one of them is on, the other one is off. And then I can also see the associated accounts and the balances. So I'll go ahead and select the first card. Now, this card is on at this point. With just a simple tap on the app, I can turn this card off. And my issuer can choose to allow maybe the recurring or auto-pay transaction to go through, but basically this card is off for any new purchase, whether it's presented in store or for any online purchase. And the time it takes to switch this card off is only what you saw as the color changing to red. This is a real system that I'm trying to use where the connection is being made back to US and the card is actually switched off. This card cannot be used right now. This helps satisfy those conditions when we are not able to find our cards at times and we've misplaced it temporarily. We don't want to call our issuers to get the card hot carded, but the control of switching that card off is in our hands. Now, turning the card back on is again one tap away. And at that point, my issuer can decide whether I have options like open for only next transaction, or open for a certain time period, or until I turn it off. Let me go ahead and select that option. Now my card is back open for use. But let me show you some of the advanced control offerings that we have taken to the marketplace. As a user, I don't shop online often. Let me first show you transaction type controls. Right now, my card is open for use only for any in-store purchase. But let's say I'm ready to make a transaction on an online site, I can go ahead and turn that on. Or at an ATM, if I'm withdrawing cash, after I withdraw cash at a foreign ATM, where users are almost always very concerned about using their cards at foreign ATMs, I can withdraw cash and then turn the transaction, turn the ATM type off. Let me show you the merchant type controls. Under merchant type controls, we allow issuers to specify what categories they want to offer in a solution like this, but the control of that user category, merchant category, is in the hands of the users. So let's say I typically use my card for department store and for groceries and supermarket. I turn those categories off. Entertainment or travel is not very often. It's one of the high-risk category, or a gas station. I can keep that off. I can also go ahead and specify a limit. Let's say I want to put some kind of a limit or a budget on my transactions for that month. I can go and turn on the transaction limits, and I can specify the amount that I want to start spend at a merchant department store in any given month. Now, the control, if I'm ready to make a big ticket item purchase, I can always go back and add more, increase my budget. But if I'm giving this card to my dependents, I have the ability to control where the card can be used. Similarly, I can also control the total spend limit on total, per transaction limit or total monthly spend. Now, let me show you location controls. Under location controls, I travel often. Now, mobile gives us the perfect instrument that's needed to drive user context into the transaction stream. So I travel often, I can turn my location on. Basically, my card is active around me. Whether I'm in Hong Kong or in Australia or in San Jose, California, my card is active only around me. This allows issuers to reduce false declines significantly, and I don't have to keep sharing my travel itinerary with my bank. But if I'm giving a card to my dependent, there's no point in correlating my phone's location with her transaction. In that case, I can go and add a region. So this is a static region that I'm specifying from my mobile phone, and I can restrict it to the region where the card is open for use. I can give it a label, and basically the card is open for use at these two regions that you're seeing here in the application. Now, we want users to increase the use of an application. What I've shown you so far is all proactive controls. Let me just quickly take a moment to also show you how users interact with the transactions. So these are the transactions, including pending, that are shown in my application. There's one transaction in response to the alerts that I get on the application. We basically issue an alert even before the receipt is printed. Thereby, you may not even need the receipt from a merchant anymore. But you can also tag that transaction. You can add a memo. And if there's a transaction that you don't recognize, you can report a problem right here from the application. So if this is a fraudulent transaction, I just sign and then submit this to my issuer. We would look forward to having you at a booth. Please stop by. Thank you very much.